Hello students, let's proceed with chapter number 6, life processes, and today's topic is excretion. What is excretion? During cell metabolism, a lot of waste are produced inside the cell. Removal of such harmful metabolic waste from the body is known as excretion. What happens in unicellular organisms? For example, if we have an amoeba over here, it is a single-celled organism, so it is in direct contact with the surrounding atmosphere. So whenever due to cell metabolism, some metabolic waste are accumulated here inside the cell, those metabolic waste simply diffuse out of the cell along the concentration gradient as the things move from region of high concentration to low concentration. So metabolic waste diffuse out of the cell. So in this way, the single cellular or unicellular organisms get rid of the metabolic waste. But in case of multicellular organisms, a specialized organ system is required, and that organ system is known as excretory system, and many organs help in the process of excretion. For example, in case of human beings, lungs also help in excretion of carbon dioxide, and liver secretes pigments like bilirubin, biliverdin, which are yellowish brown pigments, and along with that, some amount of cholesterol or some amount of drugs can also be secreted along with the bile juice, and these waste are passed out with the digestive waste. So this way, liver also helps in the process of excretion. Then skin also helps in the process of excretion. Sweat glands of the skin excrete sodium chloride and small amount of lactic acid, etc. along with water. Similarly, our oil glands excrete some hydrocarbons, waxes, etc. with the sebum or the oil. But the main and major nitrogenous waste is excreted with the help of kidneys. So kidneys constitute the main part of our excretory system. What is the form of nitrogenous waste? Nitrogenous waste is excreted in the form of urea or uric acid. So urine is formed and nitrogenous waste is excreted out. Now let's have a look at our excretory system. This is the excretory system. We can see a pair of bean-shaped structures here. These are known as kidneys. These kidneys are placed on the sides of our backbone in our abdomen. What is the size of these kidneys? Length of the kidneys ranges between 10 to 12 centimeter. Width of the kidneys ranges from 5 to 7 centimeter. Thickness of the kidneys ranges from 2 to 3 centimeter. And in an average adult human being, weight of the kidneys ranges around 120 gram to 170 gram. So two kidneys are here. This is left kidney, this is right kidney, and each kidney consists of up to 1 million nephrons. Nephrons are the functional units of kidney, and from the kidneys we can see two tube-like structures arising. See, this is one tube and this is another tube coming from the right kidney. So these pair of tube-like structures are known as ureters. Then these ureters enter into a muscular sac-like or pouch-like structure which is known as urinary bladder. Urinary bladder stores the urine temporarily here, and through urethra this urine is passed out. Length of the urethra varies in human males and females, and act of passing out urine is known as micturition. We can see the blood supply also here. Renal artery brings the blood here in the kidneys, and from this blood the nitrogenous waste is taken out in the form of urine. and renal vein takes this blood back to the body. So this is about the excretory system of human beings. Now the nitrogenous waste will be excreted in the form of urine. So now let's have a look at the procedure of making urine or the steps of urine formation. There are 3 steps of urine formation in human beings. First step is ultrafiltration. Second step is selective reabsorption. Third step is tubular secretions. And all these steps occur in the functional unit of the kidney. What is the functional unit of the kidney? That is nephron. Let's discuss about the urine formation. This is the structure of a nephron. These tube-like red and blue structures, these signify the blood supply here. If you look at this beige colored structure, you can see a cup-like structure at its beginning. This cup-like structure is known as Bowman's capsule. Then it leads to the tubular part of the nephron. The initial part of the nephron is known as proximal convoluted tubule. Then it takes a U-turn and again a coiled tubular part is observed. This U-shaped structure is known as loop of Henle and this tubular part is known as distal convoluted tubule. If you find it difficult to remember the names, you can simply call these structures as a tubular part of the nephron. This tubular part then leads to a collecting duct where the urine is collected. So this beige colored structure is the structure of the nephron. And the red and blue structures or tubes here are signifying the blood supply. Renal artery brings the blood into the kidneys, and when a branch of renal artery comes near the Bowman's capsule, it branches further and forms a cluster of interconnected, very fine capillaries. And this cluster is known as glomerulus. So, blood with nitrogenous waste comes here and flows inside the capillaries of the glomerulus. Because the diameter of the capillaries is very less here, so blood flows with a high pressure. Because of the high pressure here, from the blood, a lot of water moves out along with the nitrogenous waste in the form of urea or uric acid and some amount of glucose molecules, amino acids, some ions like protons, sodium ion, potassium ion. All these things move out from the glomerulus and this filtrate is collected by the Bowman's capsule. So this filtrate will now move to the tubular part of nephron. So this step, when the filtrate is produced here from glomerulus, is known as ultrafiltration. If we discuss about the amount of filtrate produced, roughly around 125 ml of filtrate is produced per minute. So this way, our glomerulus or the nephrons produce 180 liter of filtrate per day. But the amount of urine produced ranges between 1 to 2 liters. Although the amount of urine output depends upon the physical activity also, weather conditions also, and amount of water intake also. But on an average, if we see on average, the amount of urine output ranges from 1 to 2 liters. But if 180 liters of filtrate is produced here per day, then it means 178 liters of this filtrate will be reabsorbed. So that process is the second step of urine formation, which is known as selective reabsorption. So along with the nitrogenous waste, a lot of water, glucose, sodium ions, potassium ions, protons, all these things constituting the filtrate, they start moving into the tubular part of the nephron, go to the loop of Henle and go to the distal convoluted tubule. While traveling inside the tubular part of the nephron, these all substances which are required inside the body like water, glucose molecule, amino acids, protons, sodium ion, potassium ion, these will be selectively reabsorbed. So that step is known as selective reabsorption. Now till this filtrate reaches to the last part of the nephron or the distal convoluted tubule, this filtrate turns concentrated. It is having nitrogenous waste in it in the form of urea or uric acid. Then the third step occurs at this phase, at the last part of the nephron. That is tubular secretion. What happens here in this step? Highly toxic materials like some drugs or some pigments like urochrome are secreted into this filtrate. And now this filtrate is known as urine. This urine is collected by the collecting duct. So all the collecting ducts from all the nephrons unite to form a ureter, and ureter takes the urine forward. Let's have a look at the excretory system once again. So this is the structure here in the kidneys where nephrons work and urine is produced. Ureters take the urine from the kidneys and transfer this urine to the urinary bladder. This urinary bladder is a muscular structure, so it expands on receiving urine. And this urinary bladder is connected to our nervous system also. So that is why after some time we feel an urge to pass out the urine. Although to some extent we can control this urge, but ultimately by the act of micturition, this urine is passed out through urethra. So this is how the urine is passed out. But what happens? Sometimes due to some injury or due to some infection or due to restricted flow of blood into the kidneys, our kidneys fail to function properly. So the activity of the kidneys is reduced. So this condition is known as renal failure. So this is a very dangerous condition because of the renal failure, the kidneys will not work properly. So the nitrogenous waste or the metabolic waste will start accumulating inside our body, and that may even cause death of the organism. So to ensure the survival of such a patient, we use the method of hemodialysis or we take the help of artificial kidney. What is artificial kidney? An artificial kidney is a device to remove nitrogenous waste from the blood through dialysis. You might have heard about the term dialysis. These kidney patients or the patients with renal failure, they go for the dialysis on a routine basis. So how dialysis is done? Let's have a look at the picture of dialysis machine. This is machine or dialysis machine. It consists of a tubing system where a number of tubes are suspended into a tank filled with a solution which is known as dialyzing solution. The lining of these tubes is lined with selectively permeable membrane, and the osmotic pressure of the dialyzing solution is similar to that of the blood, but it is devoid of any nitrogenous waste. So what happens? Blood of the patient is taken from the renal artery, it is pumped into this machine, and then blood flows inside these tube-like structures, and as the concentration of nitrogenous waste is more inside the blood as compared to the outside dialyzing solution, so by the process of diffusion, the nitrogenous waste starts moving out from the blood into the dialyzing solution. So the accumulation of nitrogenous waste starts here in the dialyzing solution. This used dialyzing solution is collected in a separate container and fresh dialyzing solution is continuously added into this tank. So this way, when the blood moves into this tubular structure or this tubing system, by giving out its nitrogenous waste, this blood turns purified, and now this purified blood is pumped back into the patient's body through the vein. So this is how we can ensure the survival of a kidney patient. Other than the hemodialysis, sometimes we can also go for the kidney transplant. You might have heard about the term organ donation. So sometimes patients with the defective cornea or any defect in liver or heart or lungs or kidneys, such patients can take organs from the other individuals. So the individuals which donate the organs are known as organ donors, and the organisms which receive the organs are known as organ recipients. So in case of the kidney failure, kidney can be transplanted from some other organism. So it is surgically removed from the body of the donor, and then it is implanted inside the body of the recipient. So this is how kidney transplantation can also help to save the life of the patient. Now let's have a look at the excretion in plants. Excretion in plants is very simple. Plants also excrete a lot of substances. For example, carbon dioxide and oxygen are also excreted through stomatal apertures. So, during the process of respiration, carbon dioxide is produced. During the process of photosynthesis, oxygen is produced. During daytime, as photosynthesis occurs inside the plant, so oxygen is the output. So oxygen is released out through stomatal apertures. But during night time, photosynthesis stops, but respiration continues. So during night time, carbon dioxide is excreted out through the stomatal apertures. Similarly, excessive water is also excreted out through transpiration. In transpiration, water is excreted out in the form of water vapors. Some waste products are stored as resins and gums, especially in the old xylem. Similarly, when tissues get full of dead cells, then they may lead to leaf fall. Some waste products are stored in the cell vacuoles. Leaves full of waste materials lead to leaf fall. So, under two conditions, leaf fall is caused. First, when the tissues with dead cells accumulate, and second, when the leaves are full of waste materials. And some waste are excreted in the soil. So this is all about excretion in human beings and excretion in plants. That's all for today. Thank you so much.